Mick Corrigan here from Action Coach, and today I'm delighted to introduce you to Niall Ratcliffe. Niall is the CEO of Noticed. Uh, Niall, tell us all about Noticed and what does Noticed mean?
So we're a B2B marketing agency and we're here to get companies noticed. That's exactly what we do, mainly through a lot of social media marketing and getting companies online. And myself and my brother co-founded the business a while back. And for us, it's a mission that everyone wants to market for exciting brands like Gymshark, Nike, Apple. And for us, there's certain brands that literally drive the world forward that no one wants to market for. And our intention is to bring exciting, almost B2C style marketing to the B2B industry and show them that you can build exciting brands in the B2B space. And that's what we're on a mission to do right now.
Right, so what's the difference then between B2C and B2B in that context?
Great question, Mick. Well, I think if you go to any sort of B2C social media versus a B2B profile social media, it is so clear. So in B2C, you'll see maybe UGC creators, you'll see influencers talking about it. You'll see a brand that's actually stylish, that even just down to the logo that looks good, and people want to be a part of it. People want to follow them. And then you go to B2B, and it's like, okay, we have to be very corporate here. They have quite stiff, hard lines in the logo. If you look at the content, it's often like highly produced graphic design. It's unfollowable in terms of like they're almost pushing people away, and it's very much like secretive. And I don't think there's many B2B brands out there right now. Maybe a HubSpot or a SEMrush are leading the way, but there's very few that have actually said, you know what? I want our brand to be known. I want people to like our brand. In fact, I want people to love our brand besides the product that we have. And for us and our clients, it's our mission to have them have fans that aren't just fans of the product, but are fans of the brand as well.
So what are you trying to get across then? Personality, the brand culture?
Yeah,
What
great
what?
question. It's a lot of humanizing. It's a lot of humanizing is what we're doing. And it's simple things of like, okay, how can we adapt things that we're watching in B2C and apply it to B2B? So for example, everyone knows that influencer marketing is massive in the B2C world. People are getting paid millions and millions to do influencer marketing for B2C brands. In B2B, well, you're like, okay, well, do I really want to use a B2B influencer? I'm not really sure. But what about if you use your employees to add a face to the brand? So one thing we're massive on is employee-led content. So maybe we pick 2 to 3 key employees with different personalities in the organization that you're happy to talk about the brand. It's already happening in tech. A lot in America, they'll have brand evangelists that'll go to conferences and be a face of the brand. And now that role is much more social media. And a lot of B2B brands haven't figured out that they can do that. So that's a simple transition then, Mick, of like, okay, if B2C doing influencer marketing and it's highly effective, why can't we do that in B2B? And maybe the way forward with that is employee-led marketing. In B2C, you see brands jumping on TikTok and showing the behind the scenes of the office, what the culture's like, how they operate, the type of people they are. And why can't we do the same in B2B where we actually show the type of people in the organization, how trustworthy they are, why putting a face behind that brand and just do it on LinkedIn. Doesn't need to be TikTok, Instagram. Maybe LinkedIn's the platform for that. And a really simple example, we recently have brought on a client called Hutchinson Engineering out in Belfast, and they're a massive engineering firm. Just did a project with Red Bull, and they had F1. And when we brought them on, they'd never invested in marketing ever. The brand had never invested in marketing, and it's a second generation business that are employing, I think it's 200 plus people in Belfast, and they have the most amazing apprenticeship programs. They give back to their the local industry so much, and they didn't think their story was worth telling. And for us, it's not even just so much as doing it for them, but helping them understand that actually your story is worth telling and it'll be massively cost effective for the business as well. And for them, we've been into a recent shoot at a trade show they did. We got some examples of the founders just chatting to customers, talking about the story, talking about the journey. And I think we're closing in on 1 million impressions in month one for them on LinkedIn. And that's a business that have never invested in marketing before, but so deserve to be out there in the world and getting noticed.
I would usually ask at this point, what makes you different from other companies in your space? I think you've probably explained that already, unless there's something else in addition that you might want to mention.
One thing I always joke about, Mick, and one of our advisors, Don McGregor, and Don built Social Chain with Stephen Bartlett, to one of the biggest and most well-known marketing agencies on the planet. And when we sat down with him, he said, boys, he said, could you name me another B2B marketing agency? And we sat there and we were like, well, we should be able to, shouldn't we? Because they're our competitors. And he went, I can't name one either. He went, I've been in marketing for 10 plus years. He went, I can't name another B2B marketing agency, especially not one that's good. And that just really goes to show that what they're putting out in terms of a product also really reflects on what they're showcasing for themselves. And if you look at most B2B marketing agencies, they represent B2B as an industry virtually identically, where they're boring, they've got no brand, and all they're focusing on is performance-driven things. They've spent 15 years building a bloody blog and posting it and try and get number one ranked on Google, and no one's ever heard of the company. And that's the biggest thing for us is we're not trying to be just another B2B marketing agency. We're trying to be the only B2B marketing agency people think of. We set ourselves the goal at the start of 2025 to be the most well-known B2B marketing agency in the country. And slowly but surely, I think we'll get there over the next couple of years.
So the go-to for any B2B that wants to be different, I guess.
Yeah, exactly, Mick. That's the plan.
Fantastic, love it. So yeah, obviously you're doing really, really well. What does the future look like?
So it's interesting, right? Because um, there's so many different ways to take that question. What does it look like for the company? What does it look like for in terms of the industry as well? But for me, what does the next 5 years looks like? I'd like Notice to be maybe not a household name, but a name that everyone thinks about when it comes to marketing, like you said. And I'd love to say, okay, we're going to put out the best campaigns. We have to be the most effective. I don't know if there's another agency out there that might be amazing at PPC and getting great ROI. But I think if we're able to showcase for ourselves that you can become well known in the B2B space, I think it'll give the opportunity to our clients and the people we want to work with that they can be known as well.
And what challenges do you see that creating?
I think the challenges in the industry, there's already going to be a lot of disruption in B2B. We got a report coming out tomorrow, which will be out by the time this comes out. And we pulled together six of the best minds in B2B and asked them essentially where do they see B2B going. And it was interesting that a massively common theme was just like, I think performance side of things is really going to drop off. And I think it's going to be some massive disruption where a lot of B2B brands that have relied on SEO, we're seeing AI come about now, Mick. Personally, I use ChatGPT to search things 95% more times than I use Google. And that's only going
Mm.
to, and ChatGPT just getting started. I don't think in 2 years' time, if we talked about 5 years ago, there being a Google killer, something that killed Google, we'd be like, no way, that's going to be around forever. And for the first time ever, we're starting to see and be like, oh, well, ChatGPT has access to all the internet just like Google does and gives you better answers, better explained. Well, you don't need to go to Google. And it's like, well, what happens to the B2B company, Mick, that spent 20 years working on their SEO? Doesn't exist anymore. That company
Mm.
goes under because they're not getting the leads through the SEO anymore. What about the company that's gone all in on PPC? Oh, that's Google Ads. So what happens if Google isn't the number one search engine anymore? Well, that company is massively struggling. So there's going to be some massive disruption there, and I'd like to think that we're going to give brands an opportunity to to go a different route before that all kind of happens.
Actually, if I put something into Google right now, I get ChatGPT responding first. That's what
Exactly,
comes
Mick.
up. Yeah.
And I was joking. I've just got a new iPhone, and it's an iPhone 16. And I had maybe an iPhone 14 before. And I thought, I bet they spent 4 years working on this. And do you know what they added, Mick? There's a camera button on the side that if I click it, it opens the camera on my phone. And I thought, what the bloody hell are thousands of Apple employees doing when they only upgrade from like, yeah, maybe it's a millisecond quicker, but is there just a camera? But I don't want the camera button. I don't know why anyone's got it. It's just it's the same phone. And like I
It's
said,
the
I think
selfies, is it?
exactly, Mick.
Yeah.
And tell you what, I don't take enough selfies to need a camera button. And it's a case of like I think there's gonna be massive disruption in all industries, especially with the rise of AI. And I think in B2B, like I said, oftentimes B2B happens to be 5 to 10 years behind the trend. And I really hope that some of the really impactful B2B businesses aren't 5 to 10 years behind the shift in marketing, because
Mm.
if they are and they still rely on PPC and SEO, it's not going to look good for them.
Yeah. Good. So you've been in business for 3 years. You and your brother, you started from scratch.
Yep.
I guess you've had a few learnings along the way. What can you share?
Ah, make too many learnings, too many learnings. And every week, I always joke that I always feel like we're winging it. And then you get to a point and you think, well, oh, I'm not winging it like I used to be, but I feel like I'm still winging it. And for me, it's just that every day is a school day. And biggest lessons I've learned so far is one, we grew up on hard work. We grew up in a mill town, and all my dad started off in a factory at 16, left school, and he always jokes he was scraping swarf out of the machines and cutting his hands, and he worked his way up, and now he's got an office job. It's still in like engineering, and that's what we were always taught. If you work hard, you'll get somewhere. And the biggest lesson I've had, especially in the last 6 months, is that my hard work now isn't as impactful as it was 3 years ago. 3 years ago, I could work a 12-hour day and really move the needle. Now I could work for the next 24 hours and really tough for me to move the needle. So I'm starting to learn that it doesn't matter how hard I work, it matters how smart I am. And I'm really, really working hard now on trying to be smart, whether that is getting the most out of people. So we have a team of 18 now. Um, like I said, my impact is so minimal, but it actually is huge, but it's in a very different way. If I can impact to get the most out of people, it massively impacts the company. Whereas if I myself sit down and I'm tapping keys all night, it usually has very little impact. And the second thing I probably have is that you've got to adjust quickly and go on the fly. I was at an event the other week and there was someone on stage and he just raised about £1 million. And someone said, well, you raised this £1 million. He's like, what happens if it all goes wrong and your thesis is wrong? And he went, it doesn't matter. I'd just pivot. And I thought, well, it sounds like really generic advice, but I thought he's not wrong. Where for him, the business is just a name above the door. That service, how it goes, will completely change. And for us, what we were doing 3 years ago is a completely different service from what we're doing today. I told you we just invested a huge amount of money in getting video stuff set up and 2 full-time people to build out our video team and get it started. We didn't do any video content 12 months ago. So if in 12 months' time I'm talking about the importance of video and how much video has impacted us, that's because we've tried and tested it ourselves, but also because we've pivoted. We were very much copywriting focused 18 months ago. I think we're very video focused in 18 months. And that's been a big lesson is that don't stand on your laurels. I can't remember, but there's a great quote that I don't know. I think it's like Marcus Aurelius where it says, my mind changes when the fact change, or my opinion changes when the facts change. And that's so key in business is not to be stuck to your opinions, but be stuck to the facts and constantly analyzing what's working. And that's been a massive lesson as well.
Brilliant. Thanks for sharing that. Listen, now you tell stories for other brands, and you're a great story yourself. So well done, and all the best for the future. Thank you.
Magic. Appreciate you, mate.